Hey writers, today you are going to be writing a friendly letter to someone to tell them why you are thankful for them. So let's get started. So, as you remember from our seminar last week, we worked on an example of a letter planner. So, I'm just going to go over this with you really quickly because we already did this last week, but just as kind of a reminder, and hopefully yours is done already. So we're going to start our letter with the opening. Who are you writing to and what's the purpose? Remember, I put that I'm writing to Eli and I'm writing to tell him how amazing he is. Then I've got my reasons with examples about why I'm thankful for him. My first reason is that he's hilarious. He tells me corny jokes and he makes funny faces at me. My second reason for being thankful for him is that he's helpful. And for example, he helps make pizza when I need help and he helps me clean the house. Another reason I'm thankful for him is because he's kind-hearted. Some examples that I shared with you were he plays well with his little cousins, he gives me lots of hugs, especially when he knows that I need them, and he writes me little notes. Finally, instead of just ending with your reasons, you're going to end with a closing sentence. And my example was, thank you for being such a cool son. So those were the ideas from last week. Like I said, I hope you've got yours done. And we're going to start by transferring this today to this that was sent home in your folders. And remember, as you remember, there's 5 parts of a friendly letter. And this up here is the one we start with. And up here goes the date. Okay, as you can see up in the upper right box here, or not box, up the upper line, I put the date. The date for today is November 23rd, 2020. If you're doing this on Tuesday, you'll put November 24th, 2020. You'll notice I have the month, I have the date, I have a comma, and then the year. The next part of the friendly letter is the greeting, where we greet the person we're writing to. So we'll put dear, someone's name, and then a comma. Okay, so I've got my greeting in here, dear Eli, and my comma. Next is the largest part of the letter. Remember, that's called the body, and that's where we'll be taking things from here, our letter planner, and writing them in here. So I'm going to go ahead and write that, and then I'll share with you how I transferred things from my planner into my letter. Okay, so as you can see here, I started writing the body of my paragraph. Notice that I indented on my first line. And in my planner, I had written that this is going to be written to Eli to tell him how amazing he is. So my first sentence is, I am writing to tell you how amazing I think you are. Now, your sentence doesn't have to be exactly like that, but you want to just open up your letter by letting your reader know what the purpose of your letter is. Why are you writing to them? Next, I'm going to continue on with my reasons and examples that I'm thankful for Eli. Okay, after this introduction sentence here, now I added more of the body, a lot more. I've added my reasons and examples. So these parts right in here on my planner, I've added into my letter. So let's see how I took just these notes that I wrote and changed them into sentences. So it says, you are so hilarious. You make me laugh every day with your corny jokes and your funny faces. I also love how helpful you are. You help me clean up the house and make mini pizzas when I'm busy. Finally, you are a kind-hearted person. You play so well with your cousins and you write me thoughtful notes. You also give the best hugs. So if you'll notice, I've got my 3 reasons: hilarious, helpful, and kind-hearted. And I gave examples of those things. With the hilarious, I put that he tells me corny jokes and makes funny faces. With being helpful, he helps me clean up the house and he helps make pizzas. And with kind-hearted, I told him that he's plays well with his cousins, he writes me notes, and he gives great hugs. A couple examples also in here of things that I used. I used a couple transition words. If you can, you might want to try adding one or two in there. I did use like I also would be a transition word. Finally, and I think I used also again. You also give the best hugs. So if it sounds like you might want to add a transition word in there, go ahead. We've practiced a bunch of different ones. So if it seems like a good spot to do that, you can go ahead and do that. Finally, so now I did my introduction sentence. I've got my 3 reasons with examples. The last part is writing a closing sentence. So I'm going to write something about thank you for being such a cool son. I might change how it sounds a little bit, but I'm still going to wrap it up instead of just ending with you also give the best hugs. Okay. So finally, after writing my 3 reasons with examples, I ended with a closing sentence. My closing sentence is, I am so thankful to have such a wonderful son. So again, it's just kind of a way to wrap up instead of just ending with your reasons and examples. So any kind of sentence that says, I'm thankful for you in my life or anything like that would be fine to just kind of conclude what you are writing about. So also while you're writing the body, don't forget about things like checking for periods at the end of your sentences, capital letters, remember that, indent up here. If you're not sure how to spell something, don't be afraid to ask someone or look it up online. And don't forget about rereading your letter when you're done. Make sure it makes sense, especially reading it out loud might help you catch something that you missed. Now we would be at the end. Right here, we're going to put the closing, so I'll do that next. Okay, for my closing, I chose to use the word love. You can use other words like sincerely or your friend. It just depends on who you're writing to and what you're comfortable with. But again, I chose love. You got to make sure that your closing is capitalized and that there's a comma after words. And then your final line here is for your signature. Typically the signature is written in cursive. If you're able to do that, that's great. If not, that's okay too. But I'm going to sign mine Love Mom, since this will be going to my son Eli, so I signed it as Mom. Remember, even like this is acting as my name now, so that's why I've got it capitalized, but your name should be capitalized as well. And this would be the end of your friendly letter then. Again, make sure you've got date, the greeting with a comma, you've indented, you've got your intro, your reasons and examples, your conclusion sentence or your closing sentence, closing with a comma, and your signature at the end. Don't forget when you're all done, go through and just read it out loud, make sure it makes sense. Check for your punctuation, capitalization, spelling. See if you used any transition words. Make sure everything makes sense. And then when you're all done with that, make sure to take a picture to submit in Canvas. And if you are able to around Thanksgiving, don't forget to deliver this to the person you have written to. So I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And thank you for taking the time to write a nice letter to someone who's important in your life.